So you just came back from Abidjan, where we had the fifth AU-EU summit. How was the atmosphere there?
I think we broke new ground in our summit because it was not a summit that was orchestrated and stage managed and choreographed as previous summits were. There is a realization on both sides that we have to work at making this partnership be productive to the benefit of both parties and all our member states and our grassroots population. Thus far, this partnership has not delivered. We wanted to address the bigger agenda, that of peace and security and development, and the nexus between these. And we thought that this would be an ideal opportunity to tackle what has become a catchphrase of late, the root causes that give rise to young people wanting to flee from their countries of origin. Today, we don't want to have Africa being used in a proxy war against terrorism, against the movement of people within Africa, from Africa to other parts of the world. And containing migration is leading towards the further human rights violations that we are seeing now at its worst. And we knew we were putting money into projects that were going to backfire, but it was as if out of sight, out of mind. I'm not guilty because now it's an African abusing another African. The question is whether the ACP should continue to exist post-Cotonou, post-2020. And Africa hasn't decided whether it sees any value in continuing with that arrangement in whatever shape and form.
According to your chairperson, actually, you don't, because in this press conference, he said specifically, this kind of relations, referring to the Cotonou, are basically dead.
No, I think what the chairperson expressed is a concern of many, it's a view of many African leaders and even other stakeholders in our society. Because if we sit back and we think of what has been delivered through the ACP over the past 42 years, there is not much to show for it. I think whatever the intention was for setting up the ACP, it was not very successful, and in fact the relations between the ACP and EU have complicated Africa's ability to reach its full potential sooner, because we cannot have different fora through which we are relating to the same EU. Well, there have been many challenges, but I would say at times trying to have Africa speak with one voice. When our heads of states take a decision at the African Union Summit, that decision, even though it's not legally binding, ought to be morally binding on all the member states. But when we come to Brussels, when we are looking at our partnership or relationship with the European Union, then some of these decisions are either conveniently forgotten, or they are just disregarded completely, as if they never were there in the first place. In any relationship, you can't agree on everything all the time. So we accept that there will be those areas where we will be able to work together very closely and actually speak with one voice as two unions. In other areas, we may choose to differ, and we accept that. Where it is not to each party's detriment, then we shall keep those differences.
What would be your one recommendation to your successor here next year?
Certainly, I will advise him to remain conscious of the fact that there are great things that can be achieved through a solid partnership. But we have to work hard at it, and we have to break down misconceptions that exist. We need to build trust and confidence, and we can only do that when we are being honest and frank with each other and listening to what the other is saying. In 5 years' time, we would have had deeper regional integration. We would have had our continental free trade area. We would have had harmonization of policies. We would have seen sustainable economic growth, inclusive democracies, a higher level of governance. We would have ended or silenced the guns, and we would be on a development trajectory from which it would be impossible to step back. Some people say you are being too ambitious, but I don't think so. We have the capacity, we can do it, we need to be given the opportunity.
And will the EU have helped you in the 5 years to achieve all this?
I don't think the EU alone can help us. We've got many partnerships, so we have to extract what is to our advantage from each of these partnerships that we will have. We cannot put all our eggs in one basket, and the EU is one basket.
Ambassador Bramdeo, thank you very much.
Thank you.